Hi everyone, so it's the last video of the week 1 long questions recap, and this was technical exercise number 3, which read full capacity is 200,000 units, direct labor is 10 Rand per hour, 4 hours of labor time is required per unit, the current production level is 185,000 units, a large order for 40,000 units has been received, staff will work overtime at time and a half in order to create the additional capacity required to fill this order. What will the labor cost be for this order? Okay, so before we go into detailed calculations, the important thing to remember is that direct labor cost, as discussed before, will always be a variable cost. So direct labor cost will always be a variable cost. So if it's a variable cost, just to remind you that variable costs are effectively variable cost per unit times the number of units. However, labor is variable with hours, so effectively we have total direct labor hours as units times hours per unit times number of hours. So that will give us the direct labor cost. But the first thing to remember was that it's a variable cost. So therefore it changes with units. However, every unit has a number of hours in this case because it's a labor cost. So effectively our total direct labor is units times hours per unit times number of units. Now, important to remember, in this specific example, you're going to have, we have capacity of 185, right? Full capacity of 200. Currently, we are working at 185. So there's spare capacity. In other words, if they go up to 200,000 units, they will not have to work overtime, the laborers. But here you can see there's an order of their current production is 185. There's an extra order of 40,000. So that will take them to, remember, 185 plus 40 will take you to 225. And remember, we are limited in terms of normal time to 200. So 25 must be overtime. Alright, so because of that, we just need to remember that the hours will be paid at different rates. So different rate for normal time and different rate for overtime. And therefore you need to allocate that rates accordingly. So effectively what you're going to have is the 15,000 units at the normal time. Okay, so the question was, what will be the cost for this order? Well, this order can be fulfilled from 15,000 spare, so 200 minus 185 is 15,000 spare, so 15,000 spare will come at normal time. Okay, and then the additional 25 to make up the 40,000 will come at overtime. So, and that just has to be split accordingly. So you have 15,000 units at 4 hours per unit at the normal time of 10 Rand, and then the remaining 25,000 units will have to come at overtime, which is 1 Rand 50 times 1.5 per hour. So instead of being paid 10 Rand an hour, they're going to be paid 15 Rand an hour at 4 hours per unit times 25,000 units, and that gives us a total of 2.1 million. So basically, to recap, you essentially have two different rates here, one for normal time, one for overtime, and overtime hours comes to 25,000 units times 4 hours multiplied by the 15 Rand because that's the overtime rate, and normal time hours comes to 15,000 units times 4 hours, which is 60,000 hours at the normal time rate of 10 Rand. And that gives us the 2.1 million. And effectively, it fulfills the principle that labor is a variable cost which varies with units, and in this case every unit has a certain amount of hours, and the hours are just split between variable hours, overtime hours and normal time hours, and then we apply the appropriate rates, and yeah, we got the total labor cost of 2.1 million. Okay, another check just to remember is that the question asked about the order, the specific order. And that order is 40,000 units. So what you want to see in your solution is that you accounted for 40,000 units. So 15,000 units, normal time. 25,000 units overtime. Effectively, we are accounting for the whole 40,000 units in that 2.1 million. Alright, and that's it for the week 1 long questions. Trust week 1 was fruitful. And if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me questions on the discussion forums. Awesome, take care.